Hi everybody, Miss Lisa here. Time to do some more cooking and baking. The first recipe we're going to work on today is a melted rainbow cake. Okay, so to make our melted rainbow cake, the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 325. Then you want to get your loaf pan ready. Now I used a rather large, long loaf pan. It was like 16 by 4.5 by 5, I think. You don't have to use that long of one. You can use just a regular loaf pan if you want to. But you want to oil and flour your pan. Now, after that's done, I want to show you that we are going to be using a box mix. This is what the recipe called for. We're actually going to be using 2 of these. The Betty Crocker Super Moist Party Rainbow Chip Cake Mixes. So we'll be using 2 boxes of these, and then we'll be using 2 cans, or cartons I should say, of the whipped frosting, the fluffy white. And then, in order to make our ganache, to create that rainbow on top of the cake, we will be melting some white chocolate chips and adding some heavy whipping cream to that, and a little bit of corn syrup. And that's our ganache for our rainbow. And you can see that we have taken our ganache here and put it in separate bowls, and then we've colored it with these different food colorings. After you've baked your cakes according to the directions on the box, you're going to let them cool. So depending on how many loaf pans you use and what sizes, you may have to bake them separately. Then let your cakes cool completely. After they've cooled, you can let them cool in the pan for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then you can take them out and let them cool some more out of the pan. Give it about 10 minutes after you take it out of the oven. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to just trim off that top dome part. I don't want to cut off too much, but I'm going to look over here and see how I did this side, so I want to make them roughly the same. So I'll put my hand here and just gently kind of saw back and forth, going right across the top of that cake. I think I'm doing okay. All right, then I'll use my big spatula just to get rid of it. I'm just going to lift that off. See that? Isn't that pretty inside? I'm going to cut this part in half, long ways, lengthwise. Kind of saw back and forth, like we did when we took the dome off. Don't worry if they're not exactly the same size. Just try to get close, but don't worry about it. We're home chefs, and this is definitely a homemade cake, right? We're not professional bakers. All right, let's see that. So there's my 2 layers. I've got 2 layers over here, and now 2 more layers. So I've already iced this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on top of here. Take my next layer. Now I've got my icing spatula. I've got a kind of a large one, and just plop down a big amount. Don't be worried, because it takes a lot, and you want to get a lot of that icing on your spatula. And then you're just going to gently work it back and forth. And it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? That's what I want to emphasize today, because all these recipes I'm doing are for young people. Of course, older people can do them too, but we want kids to be in the kitchen, we want kids to learn, but we want them to have fun. And we don't want to make this a giant competition or anything like that. Okay, and it's okay if I got some crumbs there, that's all right, because my next layer is going on top of that. So here's my final layer, and I think, yes, I shall put that right like that. I'm just going to push down just a little. Isn't that pretty? Now we're going to ice that. And we'll finish icing the sides as well in just a second. Okay, so I got that big blob of icing. Back and forth we go. All right, now here's the fun part, the really fun part. We're going to take our white chocolate ganache. Isn't that a funny word, ganache? Usually ganaches are made with chocolate and heavy cream, and you pour them on things and they're shiny and beautiful. But today we're using white chocolate ganache that we've already prepared, like I told you earlier, and we've colored them. So I'm going to give them a little stir because they've been sitting for a few minutes. If your ganaches get a little too hard, you can always zap them in the microwave. I just melted the chips with the corn syrup and the heavy cream in the microwave. All right, so I'm going to take my purple first, and I'm going to start on the top and just drizzle back and forth. See how I'm doing that? And it should go down the sides. You don't have to help it too much. You can always just hold it right here and it'll go down. Can't see the other side, but I'm hoping it looks all right. Let's finish this off, a little more magenta. And there you have it, our melted rainbow cake. This is my larger version of the melted rainbow cake, the one I did that was really long. So I hope you have fun with this cake recipe and add some colors and just have a ball. And thanks for cooking with me today.